Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be talking about NAKD. This is an update to my previous videos, but this one is going to be a standalone video nonetheless. Make sure to drop a like this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, and leave notifications on. If you have any suggestions or comments, please make sure you mention them down in the comments below to help me improve this channel. In the description below, you'll find technical analysis playlist in case you're wondering about the technical analysis I'm going to go through today. I'm going to go through mainly news and company information that I can find. Let's jump right into it. On a 1 week perspective, what we get to see here on an MACD is that it's going to be attempting a positive reversal. Now, it is curving upwards, and that is mainly as well because of the jump that we did receive a while bit ago. ADX shows in a very strong negative trend. William %R is sitting at oversold. Momentum here is a little bit sloppy, still towards the negative, recovered a little bit from the week of 30th of August, although the unbalanced volume looks like there's massive outflow, almost the highest ever we've seen. Moving averages do look bearish. Now let's take a look into a 1 day perspective. On the 1 day perspective, the MACD looks like we're going on towards a negative reversal, even though it is already in a negative trend. ADX shows in no trend whatsoever at 743. William %R is sitting this one actually taping the oversold section and going on closer towards neutral, but it's still in very close to the oversold section. Volume here looks like it's actually bearish. It's actually decreasing in interest, and unbalanced volume has been dipping down for quite a bit now. So next thing is the moving averages. They do look quite bearish. It's below the 200 SMA, the 50 SMA, 30 EMA is above 10 SMA, and it's way below there, almost at a new low. I don't know if this is a new low ever. Okay. Taking a quick look now into a 1 hour perspective, what we get to see here, and this is just merely towards Monday, is that we might actually see a bit of a reversal here. Even though they all look bearish, but you see that the 10 SMA is curving upwards and it might hit above the 30 EMA, but it's in the bearish trading action zone. MACD looks quite stable. ADX showed in that there is a positive trend here, but it's kind of coming in towards an end. And William %R puts this on oversold. Momentum's recovering. So on a 1 hour perspective, it looks like we might get just a tad green onto Monday morning. Now, going on towards the moving average balances, the bands, looking at 11 in the bottom, 13 in the top, in the middle, and 16 in the top, right on here. Unbalanced volume though, we get to see it's almost at the lowest ever. It still has room to go down towards the 19 million. But that might be seen in the next few days, and you get to see that the chart actually has been going downwards ever since the 9th of June after that massive jump has just been continuously going downward. Stochastic. I did mention last time, I believe it was around here, that it looks like it might be curving down. And indeed, it is curving down on both the fast and the slow. Now, it hasn't reached the bottom. I would say the bottom is probably 662 on the slow, as we've seen here before. And again, somewhere around the 175 on the fast. So that gives me an indication that it probably will see a little bit of pullback, or it's not going to see a strong reversal for perhaps a week or so before we see any action. Now, what we get to see here is something interesting, is that the %K fast is actually curving a little bit up. Not much, so it's just a tad green before it actually does bottom out. But what could happen as well is we could have something very similar to this one here, where it does kind of curve back and accumulate. So that might be as well a plausible case. Now coming on towards Fibonacci retracements and support. Now Fibonacci retracements, you're not able to do it because the high that you have is 280, which was around the split in December 2019 from 1 to 100 split, and going all the way down to 90 cents. So the support would be way far from there. So what we're gonna do is just standard supports and resistances. Now the resistance right now is 0.090. Above that is 0.1 cent. And then above that is, well, yeah, 0.1, let's say 105. And then follow that, 11 cents. And then that's a very significant one that if it does break it, you might see a bit of a jump there. Above there, you're looking at the 0.125. Then above there, 1.3. And then a significant one is at 1.43. So those are the significant resistance levels. Now let's dive into the company information. And that's going to be a little bit lengthy, so make sure you come here there because we're going to go for a ride. Now, going on towards institutional buyers. Apex Trading is the last one. I believe their shares were around $1.46 average, so they basically lost quite a bit, around let's say $800,000. That's a massive loss for them. Blackstone, that's a fund index, nothing significant there. 25 shares is nothing, basically to try to feel the market in terms of that index. When I was talking about Apex having an average price of around $1.46, you will find it, sorry, $1.63. So that is a massive loss for them. Now, going on towards the company itself. 44 countries of distribution, 60 retail stores, 5 global offices, and 12 brands and licenses. Now, a lot of people don't actually go on and check their sub-brands. Bendon, Pleasure State, Lovable, Hickory, Ferrum, NAKD, Davenport, and Hendrix of Hollywood. Those are the products that they have. I did hear before looking into this company, this brand, but basically an inside of it is in 1947, founded by Ray and Des Harley. That was the Bendon brand, and then the Naked brand was in 2008. Kind of got started 2009. They hit the Dragon's Den, which is basically the Canadian Shark Tank. And then 2014, they did have their CEO and a chief officer relocate in headquarters in New York City, and they got listed in 2015. Bendon was a bit more established in 1947. 1988, they expanded to introduction of Bendon Man. 1990, they had 25 years of partnership in their fashion lingerie accessible to million women. Hickory brand purchased by Bendon in 1992. 2000 acquires Ferrum. 2011 expands its brand portfolio with the merged iconic, highly regarded Australian brand Pleasure State, Lovable, and Davenport. In 2015, they joined forces to launch 80 Clone Intimates, Swim Accessories, and HK Man, taking fashion lingeries to global audience. In June 2018, they merged together to go on under one plastic sticker, NAKD, that we know, NAKD. And so ever since then, it doesn't really look that good. So let's take a quick look into the latest news. So one thing that a lot of people are forgetting about is that NASDAQ equity minimum and NASDAQ minimum bid price are two completely different things, right? One of them is the market cap, and the other one is it being below $1. So the one being below $1, they have until November 23rd to regain compliance. What does that mean? That means that they need 10 consecutive days to reach above $1 before November 23rd. Now, we need to remember that Thanksgiving is soon as well, right? So that kind of cuts in as well a little bit of time on there. November 23rd comes in as a Monday. So if we were to count 20th, 19, 18, 17, 15, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, I would say going on all the way to November 6th should be the date that would be the latest that they have to hit compliance. Now, November 26th is the Thanksgiving, so it still comes in before there. I don't believe there's any holidays coming before there. I'm Canadian, so I'm trying to remember. But you have until November 6th is the last date before needing to do a reverse split. So November 6th, we got almost 2-3 weeks before we have to hit a reverse split. Now, the other thing is that they could be bought by Amazon, and then, you know, they rally up to $1 for 10 days, and then they can get in compliance. But how likely is that, and do you want to bet your money on a rumor? That is a tough question. So November 23rd, mark your calendars. By November 6th, you gotta sell, because guess what? The reverse split is gonna hit around there. You're probably gonna hear the news on the week of November 26th, not on the 26th. That is a massive one. Going on. Going towards their current October 5th agreement to raise 47 million shares. Well, it's not. This one is around here. On October 5th, Naked Group Limited company is operating subsidiary Bendon Limited entered into settlement agreement with each of Timothy D. Connell, William Gibson, and Ivory Castle Limited, collectively labeled as lenders. Pursuant to agreement, the company settled the dispute with lenders as previously disclosed by the company in its Form 6K filed on July 8th, in which lenders alleged that specific repayment terms were not met and promised and sought repayment of debt. And for that, they actually did raise a quite large amount of shares. It's a 47, almost 47 million, 0.4 million shares, and they did mention that that is actually issued by Bendon, one of our operating subsidiary, pursuant to agreement dated on October 5th. So this is not per se offering, but they did issue shares that going on towards this company, and it's basically in payment of debt. So you can look at it in two things. Yes, they paid a part of their debt, but they diluted the stock. So it's kind of almost an indirect way of creating an offering. And what is this kind of company gonna do when they get that shares? Well, there's a high chance that they're gonna dump it, because guess what? They won the money. They got, I think, what is it, at 11 cents per share, and right now it's at 9 cents per share. They might think, okay, well, we might sell before it becomes $6 per share. You gotta remember, these are clients, these are lenders. They're not very much, they're not investors, so they don't really care about the long term. A lot of these companies need their operating cash. Okay, that's what they're saying, looking for, cash. Now coming on towards the chairmans and Anna Robson. Now it looks quite alright for Justin Davis Rice. He was the CEO for Davis Rice, CEO of Bendon Limited since 2010. Anna Johnson, which is the current CEO, the chairman, has worked with WHS for NZE Market and HVN and ASX Australian Target Market. Their charts don't look the best, but they look quite alright. It's more of trading sideways ever since January or March, so it's still stable. But I have no interest to kind of go back and look into what exactly she did, just because we're interested right now in the company. This is Anna Johnson, back, I believe, in general manager of ANZ for Bender Group. That was since 2012. Noel Lehman and Torpedo 7 Group, that was all the way to 2018, and Harvey Norman from 2007 to 2012. Now, one thing I did notice when I'm going on towards LinkedIn, some of these people are independent consultants. They have only around 17 results showing on LinkedIn, looking for work, stuff like that. So I was wondering whether they have actually full staff or not, and that kind of gives you an indication to where the company is. Trying to make sure that my screen shows up here. Or there we go. All right, minimum bid price compliance. Yep, so I did talk about that one, November 23rd. And then going on towards their million amended senior notes credit facility to increase liquidity to fund growth address, and that was all the way back to March 12. And regarding their $10.5 million amended credit facility with Bank of New Zealand, that was a massive milestone back there. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I'm going to look into their financials. And this was mainly for, I believe, the year fiscal for 2020. And their cash and equivalent in total current assets is around 33 million. Sorry, 30, is this in thousands? No. Yeah, it's in thousands. 33.4 million. Cash and equivalent, you're looking at 3.8 million. Their net loss is around $54.3 million. That is quite significant. Their gross profits, 33.8 million, and they don't count into that brand management, administrative expenses, corporate expenses, finance expense, brand transition. So if you count all these, which are significant, I mean, you're not talking about net losses due to debt payment. These are just mainly corporate expenses, and you go down and you see you're actually hitting in a 52 million in deficit. So will a company like Amazon want to buy this company? A company that seems to be making only around gross profit of 33 million, right? And in terms of brand management, it's barely cutting zero. Given that Amazon somehow just does administrative expenses, corporate expenses, just sells it on their website. So you're hitting in terms of brand management quite down low. Now, given that, okay, Amazon doesn't do any brand management, no advertisements, nothing, you're probably looking at 33.818 million for an entire company that probably, I don't know how much they would buy it for, but if you look into per share, the company entire market share is a little bit higher than that. Share capital is around $170 million. Would you buy a company for $170 million to get $33.8 million per year on revenue? I don't think, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I really don't think Amazon would. That's 6 years just to break even. All right. Next thing coming is, yep, their minimum equity. That is met. Announces extension for regaining compliance for NASDAQ minimum equity. That was met. And see that those two are different things. They have different filings. Some of the companies, some of the subsidiaries they have under Benman's lingeries with NAKD. I didn't go through exactly through it, but I mean, it looked like they're having massive sales. So that might be something where they're struggling with competitors. But that has been an insight for NAKD. A little bit of a long one, but an updated one just for y'all. Now, what do I think about the stock? Back where it was around 13 and jumping out to 13.50, I did mention something, is that it's touched by a lot of pumpers. Their balances aren't looking that good. Next thing was the compliance. People were celebrating that they met compliance, but they met half compliance. So they're half compliant and they still meet that reverse split. That is my concern. I'm very worried about the stock because I know there's a lot of people that even bought all the way back to 47. You know, a lot of pumpers even pumped it back to 262. And imagine a person who bought it 262 right now. They basically lost all their money. So it kind of is an annoying situation to be in, but it's a very tricky, very risky stock. And the only reason you might want to get into it is if you want to get out before November 6th. That's it. After November 6th, you can't get into it. And remember, there's November 3rd elections. There is always a dip somewhere around the market, somewhere around the election, just because people are fearful for what happens next. What do you think about this sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.